But I've asked other distinguished scientists who have stayed in Cambridge why often people say there are better resources and you're better paid and so on in America. Why did you not go there, do you think? Push or pull?
Well, I think I've been lucky in that for my subject, Cambridge has been a strong centre, and I think I've done my bit to help to keep it that way, and I think we are still a major centre for my subject, and I certainly don't feel I could have done my work any better anywhere else. And certainly, having visited most of the major centres in the US, I haven't found any place that offers the combination which Cambridge does of the good departmental structure in very nice surroundings, which we have at the Astronomy Institute, plus the extra dimension of colleges and interdisciplinary contact, plus the general ambience and the community and the aesthetic background. If you transplanted King's College Chapel to California, I might be slightly less reluctant to go, but there's nowhere else I've met within the States which has that combination of attractivenesses which it seems to me Cambridge possesses, and so I've never felt at all attracted to the United States, quite apart from one's uneasiness about becoming a US citizen.
Talking about interdisciplinary, certainly for some of the sciences and even some of the arts and humanities, the fact that you are in an environment where colleges mix you together and it's very easy to meet and work with people in neighbouring disciplines, whereas this isn't always the case in all universities. Has that been at all important in your subject?
Well, it's been important in my life. I'm not sure so much in my subject, because what I think is very important is that you should interact with the community in your subject. And I think the department I'm in, the Institute of Astronomy, which I was director of for a long time, is well known for a very sort of interactive and informal atmosphere where everyone gets together for coffee, everyone works with their doors open, everyone wanders in and out, and lots of visitors come and go, etc. And that, I think, makes a stimulating atmosphere, and I think it's very important indeed, especially for young people, to be in the atmosphere where you meet the senior people, you don't have to go and knock on their door, they're always there for coffee, etc. And so I think that aspect has been very important. The contact with people in other departments and other spheres has been very important for my sort of personal education and broadening. And it's been a great privilege, because I was a fellow of King's for a very long time, to have the chance to get to know people like Sidney Brenner, Frank Commode, and Dan Mackenzie, and people like that, world leaders in their subjects. And to do that even when you're a young person, because in an American university, you are in a possibly very good department, but unless you're a department chairman or dean or something like that, then you won't routinely meet people from other departments in the same way as we do in the Cambridge system, where each college is a microcosm of the university. And so that means that even the younger faculty in the university are embedded in this cross-disciplinary atmosphere. And I think it's valuable not just socially, it's valuable intellectually, and also I found it helped me very much when I was a young professor to be involved, for instance, in selecting college research fellows, where you try to compare people across different subjects and to actually get a feel at an early stage for the different criteria and the different standards and different value systems across the whole of academic subjects. I found very helpful and very enlightening, and so that's something which you routinely get as a Cambridge academic, but is an experience that only senior people get in the US system.
You talked earlier about your dissatisfaction with Cambridge, but here you are, a professor of theoretical physics or whatever. You're back. Is it a good place to work?
Cambridge has been fantastic for me, personally, mainly because two things. One is the wonderful collegiate atmosphere. I was working in Princeton before I came here, which is an excellent department, possibly the best physics department in the world, but much more, I would say, sort of aggressive and self-promoting culture. What's so enjoyable about it is that colleagues are very willing to spend time to discuss or to share ideas or their knowledge or their expertise without any agenda. I mean, just for the sake of it. And so that it has that culture which is excellent. The second thing which is great about Cambridge is the flexibility of the institution. That providing you fulfill a certain number of basic duties, which are pretty modest compared to other universities, you can do what you want. So for example, in coming to Cambridge, I had freedom to set up an institute in Cape Town and to raise money for it, and to bring in all sorts of allies and partners. And I don't believe there would be any other university in the world where I would have had that freedom. So Cambridge provides an open space, I would say. It's not too controlled, it doesn't have too much direction, if that isn't taken badly. But it does provide an open space, which is very, very valuable.
Talking of America, were you ever tempted to go to America and work there?
Not to work, no. I mean, I had some offers, but and I have had a sabbatical over there at Yale. I always enjoyed going there, but I wouldn't especially want to work there, I think. I mean, Cambridge was the centre of the universe. I don't really want to be
in
anywhere.
every sense.
don't want to be anywhere else.
Why was that? Why?
Oh, well, everybody comes to Cambridge, don't they? And if you want to know about something, there's always somebody around you can ask. I mean, it is such a wonderful place to be. There's so much going on, and I think we're very extremely lucky to be here.
What do you put this down to? I mean, some people put it down to the college system. Do you think that helps?
That's part of it. I mean, I think history is part of it. Cambridge is a lovely place. It's sort of iconic, isn't it? And I think we simply attract the best people, the best young people, and they're the stimulus, and they're the pacemakers, as it were, that keep the place alive, aren't they? And I've always enjoyed our teaching methods here in Cambridge. I mean, when you give a physics course, it's something you dream up as you prepare it, but it's not like following chapters in a physics book, which is the sort of way they teach physics, I gather, in the United States. You know, they do it chapter by chapter, week by week, whereas I'd much rather try and talk about basics in the way I think about it, and you have that one-to-one contact with the young people, which I think there's less of in the United States, quite honestly.
You've done quite a lot of supervising.
Supervising and lecturing, yes. I mean, I think the combination of research and teaching is a wonderful mix. Teaching is a great challenge, especially teaching the bright young people that come up to Cambridge. They ask you awkward questions. I don't think I ever really understood physics, although I got a first class in my final degree. I don't think I really understood physics until I taught it for 2 or 3 years. It's teaching that really gets you into the nitty-gritty of it.
And you enjoy lecturing?
Yes, I do.
Because
I mean, I'm not a publicist. I'm not an actor in any way, but it's the discipline of how do you present something. It's a challenge which I enjoy. I had to lecture the introductory physics in 1976 to anybody doing physics for the natural sciences tripos in Cambridge. So it meant that I had to. The course is now divided between those who are going to go off and be chemists or mathematicians or something. Our tripos system, as you know, is very flexible. But I had to take everybody doing physics in the first year. I'm talking now about 1976, which was about 450 students, and I had to not bore the brightest and not baffle the dimmest, and present essentially, my course was called Concepts in Physics, and teach them a lot of basic physics at the same time introducing things that they were going to meet later on and trying to get them used to some of the more difficult ideas of quantum physics and relativity, mixed in with standard things like Newton's laws of motion. And that was a great challenge, and I enjoyed doing that. I did that for 3 or 4 years. But I've always enjoyed the teaching side because it is a challenge, and as you mentioned, the supervision system. That is, I think, one of the secrets of Cambridge, that close contact between people involved actively with the science and those learning it. And the questions bright students ask you are very challenging.
How do you find now, and did you find in the past, Cambridge as a place to do mathematics? I mean, is it a good place?
Well, of course it is.
I should say
I
this
think
is
the first rule of any institution that you live in is to defend it anyway.
Yes, exactly.
But no, I mean, I think it is remarkable that we can still teach mathematics in the same systematic way we always have. I think that I think one of the problems that struck me when I came back to Cambridge was that even though there were some very good mathematicians and mathematics here, there was perhaps a tendency for it to be a little more shut off from the world than it should have been. I think that has changed very much now. I think we solve the physical problems, of course, because since mathematics before the 1960s just operated out of a couple of offices in the art school, there were no proper buildings, and certainly there was just a decaying slum in the lane where we were. So all of those problems have now been solved, and I think the quality of students we still get is outstanding. Part 3 has gone from strength to strength over the last 15 years, when in fact, not long after I came back to Cambridge in the late 80s, when other universities began to do 4-year courses in mathematics, we were seriously worried that numbers might drop who came to do Part 3 from outside Cambridge. But of course that has been true of UK students, but the numbers of outstanding students from Europe and the United States has just gone up and up.
What about the Far East?
The numbers from the Far East is growing, and we do get some very good students from there, but for example, there's still relatively few scholarships for people from China.
That will change.
Yeah.
What about the college system? Does that help at all? Or
of course, it's fundamental to mathematics, to our undergraduate teaching. That we could not teach to the same level that we do for such a large number of students if we didn't have college teaching. I think we probably rely on college teaching as much as any subject, perhaps more than any subject. Because that's the big difference, I think, that you notice with what students get out of Cambridge, that even in top American universities, the undergraduates don't have so much opportunity for face-to-face contact with your supervisor or director of studies in college or anything like that. And it's fundamental in ironing out misunderstandings and so on. I think it's an absolute cornerstone of our teaching.
I mean,
as you head off into time as a PhD student. But to go back, yes, I don't think we should be allowed to escape all forms of contribution to the university. I think a sort of separation into those that have what seem to be lowlier tasks and those who are too grand to have to do them would be disastrous. It would be quite wrong.
Even the mixture of some administrative or other duties. A lot of people I've met, particularly from centralised universities who've come here, have said, why can't we hire some professional administrators and then get on with our research? But I've always valued the fact that we run our lives considerably ourselves. But I don't know what you feel, whether you could do with less committees.
Well, you asked me this question at a good time. I'm in my 4th year as head of the School of Physical Sciences.
Are you? Oh, I'm amazed you're here and so calm and
which is interesting. I actually have a very firm view that we need, academic leadership, it could be much misinterpreted. That I have no idea what the right things to do are, but I suppose because I still do it, I hope I have more sympathy with the situation that others find themselves in, or that I'm appropriately not dogmatic about what is bound to work and what is bound not to work. And I do think that we should be seen to be led by people who take time out from doing the job, rather than creating a cadre of professional administrators. And we are a bottom-up organisation for all the right reasons, but bottom-up works if there is a sort of ecosystem which has been designed from the top down, which may not be prescriptive, but has been skillfully designed to allow bottom-up to flourish. And I think the challenge of arranging that the infrastructure, the broad direction of the institution can allow that is really difficult. And I don't believe that people who are outside the business of research and teaching understand that.
That's very well expressed and very interesting. I'm writing a history analysis of how Cambridge works over the years. And that's how I see it too. And I think on the whole, though I haven't got much comparative experience, and I was going to ask you about that, it does seem to work rather well. Whereas having watched top-down systems, some of the centralised London universities, and guessed at what's happening in America, they have something very different.
Looking back, I took for granted that I had freedoms in Cambridge, which I wouldn't have had anywhere else. As an assistant lecturer, I had complete autonomy. I was never constrained for space. I always managed to have the resource I wanted for my research. I was given access to very bright research students. They weren't sort of scooped off and given to the grandees. And as I climbed up the career ladder here, I realised that to colleagues outside Cambridge and of course outside the UK, who of course don't understand our strange titles for our various tiers of academic job, it made no difference. I was just as able to do my work as assistant lecturer as I am as Cavendish professor. It doesn't make any difference. And it's good that Cambridge can do that.
You said it was very difficult to pin down what about the laboratory created that inspired creation of Nobel Prize winners, but more widely, is there anything about Cambridge which you think are ingredients or conditions for creativity?
Well, yes, I think there are. First of all, I think people do pursue excellence to a very high degree here. I mean, you just have to look at music in King's. Look at the way Stephen Cleavery tutors those young scholars. I mean, I was at the rehearsal of the carol service on Sunday. The utter pursuit of perfectionism that he does, gets them to the top quality. Now, that happens in physics, it happens in music, it happens in philosophy, it happens in linguistics, not all the time, and depending on the individual. But I mean, there are fiercely able and competitive in the best sense of the word. Mathematicians, astronomers, speak to Martin Rees. You realize that the man is teeming with ideas, restless for more knowledge, and very good at communicating it to people. The great thing about students in Cambridge is that they are the beneficiaries of three things. They get, on the whole, very good lectures, because the members of staff are, on the whole, very good. Now, they would have that in another university, perhaps, but not quite to the high degree. And secondly, they themselves have been carefully chosen, so they're pretty good material. And thirdly, they have the supervision system. You see, that's unlike most provincial universities and most of the other universities. I've been associated as visiting professor in America and various other countries with about 20 universities in all, and I taught in the University of Wales for 20 years. Well, we didn't have those conjunction of three qualities. I think you've got it in Cambridge, you've got it also in Oxford. This is why we're in League Division 1 on the world scale. I mean, I think that has been set in train almost decades ago. You know, whatever the government did, whatever the Vice-Chancellor or the governance of the Cambridge or Oxford is at the moment. I mean, I happen to think in moments of gloom that places like Oxford and Cambridge are ungovernable. They're so complicated. But the fact is, it's people with individuals who are restless for knowledge and who pursue knowledge and who try and do better and better things. That was one of Max's great secrets. He always sought to improve things. His next paper was his best paper. And he used to say that. I used to say it too. I said it before I met Max. But it's the way that you should behave if you're in a university, as I was saying to you earlier. It's a moral place. And what a privilege, you know. I was brought up surrounded by people who worked manually. My brother, my father, and all the people in the community were tremendously hard workers, physically. Well, to be given the freedom to be in libraries, in laboratories, to mingle with people of similar disposition who have a thirst for knowledge, what a joy. And you know, it's not work, is it? It's pleasure.